On a spring afternoon in Philadelphia's Main Line district, where new buds swayed on the street trees, Linda Collins gazed at the soft sunlight streaming through the window as she turned off her work computer. The clock showed 3 p.m. "Time to pick up Emily," she murmured. Leaving the PR firm's office early was part of her daily routine to pick up her daughter from daycare. Her colleagues were well aware of her schedule and would often say, "Give Emily our love." Though her work handling press releases and crisis management for major corporations was never easy, her supervisor was accommodating of her childcare needs. In return, Linda made sure to complete all her assignments by their deadlines. At 32, Linda struggled daily to balance work and childcare, but seeing her 4-year-old daughter Emily's smile made all the fatigue disappear. She had been married to James for 7 years after meeting him in college. As a manager at an IT company, he appeared to be the ideal husband and father on the surface. Bright Horizons Daycare was about a 15-minute drive away. It was a well-regarded childcare facility, and Linda had chosen it particularly because she resonated with the director's educational philosophy. Every Sunday, Emily attended Sunday school at church with her daycare friends, learning Bible stories together. Upon arrival, Maria Thompson, a young teacher, greeted her at the entrance as usual. At 27, Maria was in her second year as a childcare worker, but her gentle smile and dedication had earned the trust of both children and parents alike. "Linda, Emily made another lovely drawing today," Maria said, holding out a piece of paper. The drawing showed a family scene rendered in colorful crayons. Next to 4 figures drawn with wobbly lines was written, "My family." Emily often drew similar family pictures at Sunday school too. "Oh, what a darling picture. Thank you so much." Just then, Emily burst out of the nursery room. "Mommy," she called out, running toward Linda. With her golden curls bouncing and her light blue dress flowing, she looked like a spring fairy. In her small hand, she clutched a cookie made by Teacher Maria. "Did you have fun today?" "Yes. Teacher Maria and my friends found tulips in the garden. And look, Teacher gave me a special cookie." As they got into the car, Linda checked on Emily in the rearview mirror. Recently, her husband had been coming home late more often, and she worried Emily might be feeling lonely. However, Emily maintained her bright and friendly personality. Just this February at the daycare's parent meeting, Teacher Maria had praised Emily's sociable nature. "Is Daddy going to be late again today?" "Yes, it seems he's started a big project." They climbed into the SUV and headed to Wegmans as usual. Shopping at the supermarket was precious mother-daughter time. Emily sat in the shopping cart, chatting happily while pointing at items. She was especially excited in the bakery section, her eyes sparkling as she chose ingredients for the cookies that were always popular at the church's potluck parties on Sundays. On their way home after buying dinner ingredients, Linda was deep in thought. True, James had been acting differently lately. His phone was often unreachable, and he increasingly dismissed everything with, "Work is busy." Last Sunday, he even missed church, citing an urgent meeting. But normally, they attended as a family and had a good reputation in the neighborhood. Surely, He must just be handling a major project. Trying to convince herself of this, Linda parked the car in their garage in the quiet residential area. At the front entrance, Mrs. Johnson waved warmly as always while tending to her garden. The next day, Linda left work early as usual and headed to the daycare. The local news anchor on the car radio was giving the weekend weather forecast. Linda smiled at the announcer's words. "It looks like we'll have perfect weather for Easter service this weekend." Arriving at the Bright Horizons parking lot, she noticed more cars than usual. "Oh right, there's a PTA board meeting today," she remembered. She was supposed to discuss preparations for next month's spring festival with the other mothers from Emily's class. When she entered, Maria Thompson was unusually absent, and instead, Director Grace Wilson was standing there. "Oh, Linda." "Maria wasn't feeling well and left early today." "You're here for Emily, right?" Linda felt slightly concerned hearing this. "Emily, your mother's here." Grace called toward the nursery room, and Emily came running out as usual. Today she wore her light blue dress with her favorite pink ribbon. Emily ran toward her with open arms, her yellow backpack bouncing on her back. "Did you have fun today?" "Yes. But Teacher Maria had to go home because her tummy hurt. I hope she feels better soon." The PTA board meeting ended in about 30 minutes, with plans set for the traditional bake sale at the spring festival. Linda was assigned to make her lemon cookies, which had been popular last year. They got in the car and headed to Wegmans as usual. Emily chatted happily from the back seat about her day at daycare, playing pretend with her friends, getting praised for her rainbow drawing. Then suddenly, Emily's tone changed. "Oh, Mama. There's something strange in my backpack." Looking in the rearview mirror, Linda saw Emily opening her yellow backpack. "What kind of thing?" "Like a brown box." "It's not mine." Linda's heart seemed to stop for a moment. An unknown object in her daughter's bag. A brown box, no less. "Emily, close your bag for now. Mama will check it when we get home." At home, Linda told Emily to watch TV while she checked the contents of the backpack in the kitchen. Sure enough, there was an unfamiliar brown package inside. A box wrapped in plain brown paper with no addressee or sender listed. It was slightly larger than a paperback book. When she picked it up, it was heavier than expected. Shaking it slightly, she could feel something moving inside. Looking closer, she noticed the wrapping paper was slightly torn at the edge, revealing a glimpse of a black object inside. In that moment, Linda felt a chilling fear run down her spine. Her husband's cell phone was unreachable, and there was no response to the messages she left on his voicemail. She hesitated about calling the police, worried about causing a scene that might frighten Emily without solid evidence. In the end, she decided to wrap the package in several layers of newspaper and store it in the back of the storage room. That night, Linda could barely sleep. Watching Emily's peaceful sleeping form beside her, she considered various possibilities. It could be a simple mistake. But why was there no name or sender? Why hadn't it been noticed at the daycare? And why had Maria left early? Finally, her husband came home after 1 a.m. Looking tired, he just said, "I was late preparing for a big presentation," and headed to bed without even showering when she tried to talk about the package, saying, "Let's talk tomorrow." The next morning, Linda made a decision. She would dispose of the package in a trash bin at the station on her way to work. As a precaution, she took a photo of the package with her smartphone, in case she noticed anything suspicious later. The moment she threw the package into the trash bin, she almost remembered where she had seen that black object before, but she stopped herself from thinking about it. This is the end. Let's forget about it. That's what she told herself. After dropping Emily off at daycare, she found Maria had come to work. She greeted Linda with her usual smile, saying, "Good morning," but her gaze seemed to wander somehow. "You weren't feeling well yesterday. I hope you're better now." Throughout their conversation, Maria's eyes seemed to constantly follow Emily's backpack. Arriving at the office, her colleague Sarah excitedly approached her. "Linda, did you hear? They found a suspicious object at the shopping mall in the next town. They say it might be an explosive device." In that moment, the black object she had seen yesterday vividly returned to Linda's mind. Like the ones often seen on TV news. "No, stop thinking about it. It's just a coincidence." Trying to convince herself of this, Linda attempted to focus on work. In the evening, breaking news flashed across the local news. An explosion occurred this afternoon in a trash bin at a suburban Philadelphia station. While fortunately there were no injuries, police are investigating the possibility of a planned attack using a timed device. The screen showed the trash bin where Linda had disposed of the package. Her mind went blank. Her ears were ringing. Cold sweat ran down her back. And the photo of the package saved on her smartphone seemed about to scream. The morning after the explosion news, there were 2 police cars parked in front of Bright Horizons daycare. Even from a distance, Linda could see police officers in deep discussion with the director. Having arrived earlier than usual, Linda parked at the edge of the parking lot and heaved a deep sigh. "Mama, there are police officers," Emily called out from the back seat. "Yes, they're here to keep everyone safe, I'm sure." As they approached the entrance, in addition to the uniformed officers, a man who appeared to be a detective in plain clothes was speaking to each parent one by one. When it was Linda's turn, the detective began questioning her with a gentle demeanor. "Mrs. Linda Collins, have you noticed any suspicious persons or incidents recently?" "Not really," Linda began, then hesitated. "Though my husband has been acting a bit strange lately." The detective nodded slightly, taking notes. Behind him, she could see Maria talking with other parents. Her expression seemed tense, different from her usual calm demeanor. "Oh, and, the other day, Maria suddenly left early." "You mean Miss Thompson?" The detective's tone subtly changed. "Yes. I heard she wasn't feeling well." That afternoon, while at her computer at work, breaking news came in. Suspicious objects found at suburban Philadelphia daycare, police investigating connection to explosion. While the daycare's name wasn't mentioned, The article stated, suspicious objects may have been found in multiple children's bags. Linda immediately took out her smartphone to check the photo of the package. She was glad she had taken the picture. But should she show it to the police? When she arrived at the daycare still carrying her anxiety, she found multiple police officers watching over children playing in the garden. Mrs. Collins. It was the same detective from the morning. If you don't mind, could we talk a bit more? She was led to the staff room, where Director Grace was also present. Actually, we'd like to ask about Ms. Thompson. Has your daughter received any special gifts from her recently? Linda caught her breath. The cookies from the other day. And the package. Everything was starting to connect. That night, her husband unusually came home early. While he was in the shower, Linda decided to check his car, having made up her mind. Opening the car door in the garage, she found an unfamiliar women's handbag under the passenger seat. Inside were Maria Thompson's driver's license and numerous photos of the two of them together. The photos were dated, all from before Maria was hired at the daycare. Their relationship had been going on for that long. While preparing dinner in the kitchen, Linda's mind was swirling with complex thoughts. Her husband's affair. Maria's true identity. And most of all, the possibility that her daughter's life had been in danger. The next morning, a shocking message went out on the PTA contact network. Last night, a staff member from our facility was cooperating with police questioning. While we understand this causes great concern, we are maintaining strict security measures with the children's safety as our top priority. At the end of the message was the line, "Please don't hesitate to contact us with any concerns," followed by a child consultation hotline number. Rushing to the daycare, Linda found reporters gathering around the building. There were more police present. In the parking lot, mothers had formed small circles and were talking. "I heard that teacher had problems at her previous daycare too. She was so kind to the children." Rumors spread rapidly. Linda nodded silently, thinking about the photos in the car. And the photo of that package. She kept opening her smartphone, still unsure whether to report it to the police. "Mrs. Collins." A voice came from behind. Turning around, she found the detective standing there. "If you don't mind, could you come to the station? We've received new information." On the way to the police station, Linda made up her mind. She would tell them everything. About the package, the photos, and her husband's relationship with Maria. However, when she arrived at the station, the detective said something unexpected. "Actually, we've received a confession from suspect Thompson." And the detective paused as if choosing his words carefully. "Your husband's name has come up as well." Sitting across from Linda, the detective laid out several photos of Maria Thompson. Photos of her smiling at the daycare. Security camera footage of her holding suspicious packages. And photos from her previous daycare in another state. Suspect Thompson has shown signs of obsessive disorder before, the detective quietly explained. She was involved in a similar incident at a daycare in Delaware. According to the documents spread on the desk, 3 years ago, Maria was caught trying to plant dangerous materials in children's belongings at a daycare in Delaware. However, since it was discovered before any actual harm occurred, she only received a stern warning. She had reportedly been receiving psychiatric treatment afterward. Why would someone like that? Linda's voice trembled. Her resume was skillfully fabricated. She completely hid her background and even prepared fake letters of recommendation. The door to the interrogation room opened, and a female detective brought in new documents. They included copies of Maria's psychiatric records. Borderline personality disorder. Obsessive disorder. Her treatment had been discontinued. The issue is her relationship with your husband, the detective carefully chose his words. We know they were involved before she started working at the daycare. Linda took out the photos she had taken from her husband's car. The dates clearly showed they were from before Maria's employment. Had everything been planned? Actually. The detective lowered his voice. There's a high possibility that your husband was pulling strings behind her employment at the daycare. According to Maria's confession, it all went back 3 years. She met James online, and their relationship quickly deepened. However, when James became reluctant to divorce, Maria's mental state gradually became unstable. The suspect planned to use your daughter to involve you in an accident. Linda suddenly stood up from her chair. Use Emily. Yes. By placing explosives in Emily's bag, if an accident occurred, it would become the daycare's responsibility. She thought this would force you to transfer your daughter. That seems to have been her thinking. The security camera footage projected on the interrogation room wall showed Maria preparing packages in an empty classroom at the daycare. She had apparently tried to place similar packages in other children's bags as well. Did your husband know about this plan? Linda took a deep breath. I don't know, but... She took out her cell phone and showed the screen. No matter how many times I called, he wouldn't try to contact me at all. Just then, the interrogation room door opened again. Suspect Collins has arrived. Linda's heart jumped. James. Ma'am, I apologize, the detective said apologetically. Actually, we've been waiting at the airport. Your husband was attempting to flee the country. Everything went dark before Linda's eyes. Attempted escape abroad. That meant James had been involved in the incident. Everything started connecting. Maria's employment at the daycare. Her unusual early departure. And that package. The detective spread out new documents. Suspect Thompson's psychiatric treatment fees were also paid by your husband. And the arrangement of forged documents needed for daycare employment. Outside the window, dusk was approaching. Church bells rang in the distance, announcing the children's time to return home. The sound that was once a symbol of peaceful daily life now rang strangely cold. The detective spoke gently. I know this must be a tremendous shock, but could we ask you to meet with your husband? James was already sitting in the next room. When he was apprehended at the airport, he had been carrying tickets to South America. Before that, Linda took out her smartphone with trembling hands. There's something I need to show you. While showing the photo of the package, Linda told them everything. From its discovery to its disposal. And about the explosion. This will be crucial evidence, the detective nodded seriously. You did well to take a photo. Walking down the hallway, Linda was deep in thought. She was about to face her husband. The man she once loved. The man who had endangered their daughter's life. The interrogation room door opened. James sat there looking exhausted. His suit was wrinkled, a far cry from his usually neat appearance. When their eyes met, he looked down. There was no trace left of the husband she once knew. Why? Just one word. That was Linda's first utterance. Emily could never return to that daycare. A new life would begin tomorrow. However, as a mother, Linda was determined to protect Emily, even if it meant completely breaking away from their previous life. 6 months after the incident, their life was moving forward slowly but surely. Mama, look! Emily came running with her creation from Sunday school. A rainbow-colored butterfly made of origami. Teacher said it's a symbol of new beginnings. Linda embraced her daughter. Emily had adapted well to her new daycare and had regained her brightness, showing no signs of trauma. The child psychologist had assured her, children's resilience is remarkable. The outcome of the incident shocked the community. Maria Thompson was diagnosed with obsessive disorder and borderline personality disorder by psychiatrists and received a 5-year prison sentence. She was required to participate in rehabilitation programs and would never be allowed to work in educational institutions again after her release. James also served time for aiding in the manufacture of explosives and destroying evidence. The divorce proceedings progressed swiftly, with Linda gaining custody and rights to the house. Her lawyer said, "Your calm judgment and taking that photo of the package were crucial in winning the case." Linda, today's Bible study was so meaningful, Mrs. Mary said, offering her a warm cup of coffee. She had become Linda's emotional support after the incident. Yes. The passage, "The Lord is my light," really resonated with me. The courage to move forward even in darkness, perhaps that was the mission given to her as a mother. That's how Linda felt. Bright Horizons Daycare overhauled its management system after this incident, thoroughly checking staff backgrounds and strengthening security systems. However, Emily's new daycare was a smaller facility closer to home. The director was a 30-year veteran who showed deep affection for each child. "Hey Mama, can I help with the Harvest Thanksgiving Festival this Sunday?" Emily asked, her eyes sparkling. Participating in church events had become an important part of their new life. Of course. It will be a wonderful time of blessing for everyone. At dusk, the two headed home. Along the way, Emily collected fallen autumn leaves, throwing them up and enjoying watching them flutter down. The car radio was broadcasting news about the local police's new guidelines for protecting children's safety. When they arrived home, there was homemade bread from a neighbor on the porch. The attached card read, "Your strength inspires us." Trusting a mother's intuition. Prioritizing children's safety above all else. and having the courage to live with new hope even after betrayal by a loved one. These lessons were now shared among many mothers. The full moon gently illuminated the bedroom window. Emily whispered, "Good night, Mama," and began breathing peacefully. Linda quietly prayed by the bedside. "Lord, grant us peace." A new season's breeze gently stirred the lace curtains.